Yeah, it's your boy, D Harv. Welcome to Straight Up On Game. We have a fun-filled show for you guys. It is JUCO edition. You hear me? It is JUCO time. This is time. Awesome. So, it's the first stars of the JUCO. So, without further ado, Dwayne Wright, the running back guru.
What's going on, fellas? Man, I told you about D Harv out there in Florida somewhere. It looks like he in the Florida tropics. Man, we trying to make sure your Wi-Fi is working correctly. We can see bits and pieces of you. But before I even get started, we're going to bring on our other co-host, man. Awesome gentleman.
I don't know
scholar, our brother, Bryan Welch.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? What's going on?
What's going on, Bryan?
Yes, sir. Great night for sports.
What's going on?
And it's D Harv. How about them Gators?
Yeah. There we go. See, I decided to show California some love.
All right. So while D Harv is working on his, look like he's working on his Wi-Fi there. We're gonna get started on our show. We have a great JUCO exclusive tonight. I cannot wait. We have tons of viewers that's going to be on. I mean, when we talk about junior college football, man, there are so many people that came out of JUCO. We're talking community college. We're talking about the gurus from all over California, all over the nation. I mean, we're talking about Ocho Cincos and people of that nature, right? We're talking about great coaches, you know, that came out, the Pat Hills and all these different coaches that came out of this level, you know what I mean? So I am so excited to talk that. But before that, I think we're going to go into some Bulldog football as usual. Sorry, D Harv, you know, this is the West Coast. We got to talk about the Bulldogs for a little bit, for a couple minutes. So Bryan Welch, go ahead and, lead us off with that.
You know what, Dwayne? I mean, it was a sad night at Valley Children's Stadium over the weekend. You fall by 1 to Hawaii, Fresno State falling 21-20. Bulldogs offense did not look good. Had only had 176 yards of total offense. You're 5-4. You're knocked out of the Mountain West Conference championship picture, and you have to go to Air Force this week in the snow. It's going to be very interesting to see what Fresno State can do. You have to get yourself – it's a must-win this week for the Bulldogs, Dwayne.
Yeah, it's a must-win. Like I said, I'm a Tim Skipper, Kelly Skipper, all the Skipper believers. But I do feel as if, Coach Skipper has his team intact. I just feel that there's some things that we're not capitalizing on as far as, there's some mental mistakes. There's a couple blown coverages. In our running game, I'm starting to see a little bit of our running game show up, and I was looking at some of the numbers. I mean, we talked about our quarterback situation. It's hard when you face a type of season like this. We talked about this. You face adversity. The hardest position to play is the quarterback position. And I believe that Mr. King, he will be able to bounce back, and I think he's still being a great leader. People do not understand what happens inside the locker room. All we see is maybe the interceptions or whatever that may be. But look, man, it happens. I fumbled a lot, right? But you have to learn how to cope with that. And I think that, Mr. King is doing a good job. We're talking about Mikey King, the quarterback at Fresno State. I think he's doing a good job by dealing with the adversity right now.
And, I mean, it's been the adversity. It's been the roller coaster of a season offensively. I mean, you lose Malik Sherrod in the early part of the season. Bryson Donaldson steps in. Elijah Gilliam having a great time this season in the backfield for the Bulldogs, the young man from Merced, California. But this weekend's going to be a test of the ability of Fresno State's offense because you're going up against an Air Force squad that runs a triple option and every possession counts. And if you're offensive coordinator Pat McCann, you have to find ways move that ball down the field, but also chew some clock because you do not know when you'll get the ball back against a really good Air Force squad. They are 1-7 on the season, but they have nothing to lose. They're out of bowl consideration. They can just play party pooper on Saturday in Colorado Springs.
Well, that sounds something like Florida State right now, but you know, but I can truly say that when a team has nothing to lose, you know, especially the coaches feel that they can play younger, you know, ball players or whatever that may be, try out some of their younger players, maybe bring a couple freshmen up. You know, you're going to see some bits and pieces of some greatness. But I truly believe this is a time for Fresno State to capitalize. Again, we're not out of it, all right? We're not by far out of it. So we have to make sure, I say we like I'm still playing, but, you know, Fresno State have to just make sure, right, they just have to make sure that their defense is tight and special teams. I truly believe this is the week to work on the run game and also to perfect special teams. We're going to be coming down the end of the road, right? And you know, when it comes to October and November, it gets colder. You know, your thought processes may not be there. It's all about preparation. So I'm looking for a big game, a big special team game out of the Bulldogs.
And the thing is, you remember the games in November, and the Bulldogs play against Air Force. They go up against Colorado State for senior night, and they travel down to Pasadena to take on UCLA. We know UCLA is struggling, but that could be a very interesting game at the Rose Bowl for the final week of the regular season. So this Bulldogs are not out of the season yet, but you got to find ways to pull victories out of the hat, and especially on Saturday, Dwayne. I was on the sideline covering the game for our news station here on the campus for Fresno State, and it was just the penalties. It was the penalties that drove Hawaii down the field. If the Bulldogs can minimize the penalties this weekend against Air Force, they'll be set for their 6th win of the season.
Yeah, and I agree. You know, I really agree. I believe as far as, you know, Colorado State is pretty even, I believe, on the totem pole with the wins and losses compared to the Bulldogs, right? But then in the Rams, but then if you look at UCLA, I believe we lead in a series with UCLA.
That's right.
I can remember us playing UCLA back in the day, and also, you know, playing out in San Jose and UCLA having their tough defense, and, you know, Pat Hill just saying, you know what, it does not matter who we play, right? But when you go to the Rose Bowl, it is a tough place. All right, it's a tough place to play. You may get attendance, you may not, you know, and right now I believe UCLA is in a great position. And, you know, they're in between making a decision on the head coach and whatever they may be doing. But truly, they have a great defense, but I know offense struggles. So I look for the Bulldogs again when it gets to that time. Special teams and the run game is very, very important to bring that win home.
And you do bring up a very good point there, Dwayne. There was a missed PAT, unheard of, especially on Saturday for Fresno State. If you can fix that mistake, you'll be cooking. And I know D Harv wants to get on this conversation. I know Florida State out of the picture right now for the college football playoff and bowl contention. But I mean, D Harv, being on the East Coast, what do the people on the East Coast think about what's going on with Fresno State and the Mountain West, like with conference realignment as well? I mean, with the end of the season being near.
Man, y'all better tighten up. But hey, that conference is pretty decent. Because my nephew went to Nevada, so he played 2 seasons at Nevada. Yeah, Mo Harvey. Yeah, he played with 2 seasons with Cap. So he went to JUCO at Reedley, and yeah, he set the interception record out there, like 22 interceptions in a 2-year span. So yeah, he was a bad boy. So I don't know why he ain't get in the league and on somebody's team, but you know, the Saints gave him a try, but and the Dolphins, but, yeah. So
I definitely heard of that name, and I spoke with that young man, and you know, I believe he's trying to get into coaching and do some good things. But you know, moving forward, you know, again, we're going to wrap this section up, and I know we have a great show to all of our viewers out there. We have Berna, head coach of Coalinga College, known as West Hills College, and we also have another legend, Fresno State legend, CFL legend, NFL guru, DB coach guru, Dante Marsh. And I believe Porter Needs is going to be on as well from West Hills College. But when we come back from this commercial, we're going to bring on Justin Berna, and then we're going to tap in with Dante Marsh, and we're going to talk some JUCO football, and we're going to get deep into it. So I will see you guys in about 30 seconds. All right, we are back. We are back, man. That was the Heritage Bowl, little commercial there, a little quick preview of the Hall of Fame honoree banquet in San Diego on January the 31st, where we get all of the best of Southern California, Los Angeles versus San Diego. And I heard it was going to be California versus not Florida, but New York. Whoa, that's going to be pretty awesome. Maybe next year or the year after. So I'm looking forward to seeing all the California ballers coming up soon. But we're going to move forward. We're going to bring a guest on next. And then after, we're going to bring Dante Marsh in right in between. But what we're going to do is talk about this gentleman for a quick second before we bring him in, because he's going to downplay himself, but he's an awesome coach, awesome father. He's been around the game for a long time. He's well known around the Valley, and I'm just going to read a couple of his, just a couple of his background and you know, and things he's done and accomplished. But Justin Berna, you know, he's had 11 players earn all Golden Coast League honors, including unanimous first-team selection sophomore Junior Tafani, who was converted from tight end to center. We also have when Berna spent previous 6 years as a head football coach at Avila University in Kansas City, Missouri. So he's not like he's just starting. He's been a head coach, you know, on a big level before. And then he is a product of Yosemite High School in Oakhurst. So if you're out there in Yosemite High School in Oakhurst, it's probably real cold right now out there. But if you're a big fan, you got one of your traditional ballers coming on, Mr. Berna. I mean, the Badgers back in the day were, man, they were good. They were good. I remember when I first got to the Valley, I heard about Coalinga, I heard about Edison, I heard about Yosemite. It was just like certain high schools that you heard of that had guys to come out of. But I was so happy to have Berna. We actually played together, y'all, in college when we was at West Hills College in Coalinga. And it was such an honor. He played H-back, so he blocked for me a little bit. And he said he just bumped into people, but I doubt that. This dude was he ended up earning a scholarship. And he can talk more about that when we get there. But we'd like to bring to our show Coach Berna. How you doing, Coach?
Good, guys. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, hey, look, man, is that an SD hat or what is that? Is that a
no? It's the new Coalinga College logo. That's the new one.
Oh yeah, that's
nice. The new one.
I like that. So tell us a little bit about what's going on, Coach Berna. Like what's happening nowadays, man? Like what's going on with the Big C?
Well, a lot of things with us just at West Hills, you know, now Coalinga College. The biggest thing is just we're going to be eventually the goal is to be 3 campuses, right? When you and I went here, Dwayne, it was just Coalinga only, so it was West Hills College. Then we became West Hills College, and they had Lemoore campus. Now we have the Fireball Center, which is growing, and eventually the long-term goal is going to be another campus there in Fireball. So you're going to have 3 campuses, and that's what we started kind of changing our identity a little bit of our own institutions as we go, because we're not just West Hills anymore. We have 3 different colleges within the district, as we say.
All right, so there's awesome movement with the
growth.
industry. You know, we're bringing in lots of sports within that college realm. How is it? And this is a JUCO special because we want to hear it all. So, like, how is it with recruiting? What is it? Is it a different style of recruiting now since you have those campuses, or tell us?
Not really a different style. What's really changed us is, you used to get the bounce back guys. We had a few my first 3 or 4 years. Now that's changed with the portal. You don't get a Dwayne Wright. You don't get a guy that's maybe committed to a school and doesn't make it. Maybe it's an academic issue or a test score issue or whatever it might be. You don't have those guys anymore. They're in the portal. Or a guy that's ineligible from the 4-year level that needs to go take a year at junior college. Nope, he's going to go in the portal and he'll just maybe he'll drop a level. I don't like saying that kind of stuff, but maybe he goes from FBS to FCS or whatever, FCS to D2. That's what's really affected us, right? It really has affected our recruiting, our kids out. Is you see now they're going to that's their first step. You see their first step's going to be the portal, then JC after that. It used to be JC, right? Send a kid to JC, get him eligible, and now that's not the case, right? He can go sit. He might be a guy that I just had a young man from Penn State go to another school last year that I talked to the coaches at the school that he ended up going to, and how they're going to get him, and they're going to sit him and get him eligible there, and kind of use that year as a year that we would used to bring him in for, right? So it's just changed that whole dynamic hugely. And also, and this is a really weird thing to say, if you've got manpower, right? If you've got all of us in a room, we can go on the transfer portal as an NCAA institution and go through all the lists of the guys that have entered the portal and go through and get all their information, all their film, have it ready. Or are you going to fly out to California and meet with me in my office? What's easier? Right. And so it's changed the game a lot with all the guys at our level. And you've really seen it affected everybody, right? Schools like Riverside, San Mateo, they even complain about it where they're like, hey, this kid 6 years ago was a Power 5 kid. Now he's barely scratching and getting, a MAC offer, only has 2. And he's like, a few years ago, that guy's going to big time football, as we've had guys where it's like, man, I think this kid's really talented and he's going FCS ball, and which is by no means bad, but I mean, it's changed the whole dynamic. It's changed everything.
Hey, Coach, this is Bryan. I know that you and we've had a lot of great conversations. I know I'll be speaking with you tomorrow for our pregame show on the Falcons Audio Network on Saturday between Coalinga College and Los Medanos College. But for the person who's never been to Coalinga, I grew up in Coalinga my whole entire life. How would you describe Coalinga, Coach?
Well, when I do our recruiting deal, I have a video I send to the guys, and I'm very honest with them. But I tell them, right, I tell them it's a desert. That's what I try to make it as simple as I can. It's not, but that's the easiest way you can tell a guy that's from Jersey or Florida or, Louisiana, where it's like, hey, we're out in the desert. We're about an hour from Fresno, 2 hours from here, just so they can kind of get an idea. I have a little map picture. I show them where you're located, what the climate's like, where I'm like, hey, it's super hot in the summer, but it's pretty nice once you get through. If you can get through, July and August, September, October, November, it's pretty nice the rest of the year if you can get through those couple months of getting acclimated. But I tell them, small town, you're going to love it or hate it, right? If you're going to walk into the grocery store, they're going to see your shirt and go, hey, who you playing this weekend? And try to talk to you, or you're going to love it or you're going to hate it, right? There's no middle, right? So it's one of those things where you got to embrace the small town. They're going to know you play at West Hills. They're going to know you're not a high school guy. There's only one high school in town. And so they're going to know right away when Dwayne Wright walks in at, 6'1", 6'2", 2 whatever, and says he plays running back. Well, it ain't the kid from the high school. Right. And so they know right away that you go to school there, same as me, right? Blue-eyed kid that's 6'2", whatever, walking in. They know I didn't go to Coalinga High, right? So they know right away, all right, these guys play at the college. So you kind of have a little bit of I wouldn't say a target because that's a negative connotation, right? But right away, me, Dwayne, right? I know Dante will be on later. He's a big old monster, right? Dante, he walks down the street. They know we played it at the college. We played at the college, right? We play football, we play baseball, basketball, whatever they're going to say, but they know that we're college guys, and that's good or bad. And you can embrace that. Like today, literally, I got 2 guys in my house finishing up dinner. We had the player of the week dinner this week. Demarion just left actually, and we did the USDA, the food distribution, the canned food drive. We did it today in town, and you can embrace that and be part of the town, or you can. Sit in your dorm room and just want to play football and, go to class and do your, to-do list and check the boxes and be done. or you can embrace the small town and people, enjoy it. And, I hand out little helmet stickers at practice. And today I go to Faster to get a drink. And one of the little kids, hey, the helmet sticker coach, so just how you want to embrace the town, right? How you want to embrace Coalinga as a small town. But I just tell them, hey, we're small town, desert, family feel. People are going to know who you are, good or bad, right? You got to embrace which way you want to go with it. And some kids love it, and they leave here and never have the same experience ever again. I didn't. I went to a big city, right? And, I went to St. Louis, so it was a lot different from what I was used to growing up, going to Yosemite High in West Hills, and all of a sudden, oh my gosh, we're right near the airport, we're right by a casino, we're right, this is crazy. And so it was a totally different experience for myself.
And I know on your Twitter page, or X as we're calling it now, you say hashtag culture over scheme. Where did that come from, Coach?
A book, actually. And actually, it's funny because after I read the book, I started saying that, and I've taken a lot of things from that, but it's a Bill Walsh book. And there's a saying he has in his deal, and he took over the 49ers. They were not good, right? Everyone thinks they were good, this great franchise, when he took over, and they were not good for multiple years. But, he started from the ground up, from meeting with the secretaries, and we can't do all the stuff that he did at our level, high school, and even at certain college, universities can't do it. But his thing was, can you build that culture from ground up where, and I talk about it, and our guys probably don't understand it all the way, but I want a guy, right? Porter sitting right in front of me on my beanbag chair, sitting here watching football. But I want Porter to walk through campus and everyone know that he's a football player at West Hills, not because, he's 6 foot whatever and he looks like a wide receiver, but because he's got a 4.0, he carries himself different. When he sits down in class, he's in the front row, that he's saying hello to people, all those kind of things. That's what we want. But we talk about culture is because you're not going to win every game. There's going to be, it's junior college, right? There's going to be years where you're not as good. There's going to be years we win the conference championship in 22. I'm wearing a shirt, and the next year we're 5-5. That's junior college life, which is not always fun because you want to have guys for multiple years. But can you have the culture where you don't have issues, right? We have a deal, and we don't have it in our locker room because parents, but, Dwayne knows we played junior college ball. We've been around rough guys. Like, we're not going to carry a weapon, right? We're not going to do drugs. We're not going to do these. We're not going to hit a female, right? The things that, what are you trying to accomplish? And I think what gets confused with the word culture, right, is it's said at so many levels and different ways of what does that mean, right? What my idea is we're going to take care of each other, right? We're going to do the best we absolutely can, right? And we're going to earn everything we get. If it's a C in the class, we earned it. If I squatted 405, I earned it. Or if I benched 405, I earned it, right? Whatever it is. And that's my goal, because eventually, right, I'm going to only have them for a very short period of time. They're going to move on from their place. And so might be a year we go to a bowl game. Hey, that culture is good, right? Or might be a year we're 4-6. Oh, is our culture bad? Sometimes your culture is good. You're just not as talented, right? And so that's what I want to strive for every day is our kids are going to class. We're going to do community service. We're going to study hall. We're having good practices. The biggest issues I want to have as a coach is on the field. Guys are chirping because of a competition drill. That's all I want to deal with. That's what I got to deal with. Then we're doing the right thing, right? If guys aren't going to class, aren't going to study hall, I got 10 guys to punish every day, and then we're not doing what we're supposed to do. But that's what I talk about it. And then it goes right into the other stuff that people always ask about is win the day, which is in our locker room everywhere. It's the same idea, right? It's not just win, because you don't win. You only play 10 games, 11 if you're lucky, right? Dwayne and I got to play a bowl game together, right, as freshmen. Then we won the bowl game my sophomore year. He was at Fresno State over Laney. But if you're lucky, you get 11 games at our level. And normally you get 10, where it's like, okay, take those days away, right? How did you practice today? How did you go to meetings? Did you take notes, right? How did you go to class, or were you late? Did you wake up and go to breakfast, or did you sleep in and just go to lunch? And then all of a sudden, you're not eating enough calories in a day. That's what I try to make our guys think about is what are you doing each day, right? And then stack those each time, and then you're gonna be successful. And it goes all into it, right? It's a whole thing. We talk about it in camp till I'm blue in the face. But I think that's what it's about, right? And I think if you can build that, you have a long-term program that can be successful. And then also your guys are set up for when they move on. Okay, this isn't new to me when I go somewhere where the standards are even higher because it's high-level football. And I think that's what's going to be good and positive for our young men as they move on. But That's what I talk about when I talk about culture. And everyone talks about it, but it's different.
It's different.
Everyone's culture is different, because you might go to a program where, hey, the culture's winning, right? We got to win. I'm getting paid $4 million to be the head coach. We got to win or I get fired, right? And that's a different culture. Here, I want a guy to be a good freaking husband. I want him to be a good father. I want him to be graduate from college. I want him to be. It's a different type of word culture for us, right? And that word is used a lot. And right, Coach Rule just talked about it in Nebraska that it's used all the time. And he said, "This is my definition." And everyone goes, "Oh," because he was talking about how good his culture is right now. But they just lost a game, and there's all the reporters were, "What are you talking about?" But it's not about winning all the time. Of course, we want to win every game. That's what you want to do. But when you see a kid progress, his attitude, everything else, his work ethic, you're on the right track. And if you can get more guys doing it, then you keep doing it, right? You just got to get as many guys on the pulling on the same rope, whatever, another cliche thing you're going to say, right? But it's just it's what you got to do. So, but that's what I try to talk about. Not every day, because I wear the kids out on it, but I talk about it probably once a week. I got two guys right here, probably once a week, something of that nature of working hard, showing up on time, whatever else it is, doing the right thing. Like I even talked about yesterday, because it was the Day of the Dead event on campus, right? We got guys from out of state. They don't know what the heck they're talking about. They know what this is. They're not into the Hispanic culture. But it's like, hey, we live in Coalinga, man. This is go embrace it. Go see the food. Go to the event on campus, and just those kind of things that you're going to leave and you're not going to have that experience again or opportunity.
Right. So thank you, Berna, for that, man, for sharing. And we're going to ask you just to hold tight. We're going to bring in Dante Marsh. Again, Dante Marsh, Fresno State alumni, played in the CFL, won, 2 or 3 Grey Cups. I mean, all-star, all that good stuff. And he's a coach now at Laney College. So we're going to bring him on. But, Berna, we want to bring both of you back later on in the show, and we're going to talk some recruiting. We're going to talk the life of JUCO coach. Is that cool?
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you, Berna. We appreciate it.
No problem.
We're going to write to a quick commercial, and we'll be right back. Wow. Oh, my God. I know D. Harv was over there feeling like he was ready to go, ready to suit up.
Man, I don't know nothing about none of that y'all talking about Coalinga and all that. I only know Reedley. That's all I know is Reedley.
Well, because you're a Florida boy. That's all they go to Reedley is Florida boys. But before we get started, look, I want to go over of our next guest, man. He's a real good friend of mine, very important, like Justin Berner. I mean, this gentleman not only is a phenomenal player, a person, recently got married. I congratulate him for that. And then also he trains, and not just athletes physically, but mentally. I mean, he's going to talk about some great stuff. I mean, he's been around the Valley. He's been all over. Dante Marsh, man, former Canadian football, NFL, CFL, defensive back, Fresno State. He coached at Contra Costa College in San Pablo. He coached other places. I'm going to let him talk about that, but we're going to talk about his professional career. Man, look, this guy, I remember him one game. I was with the Toronto Argonauts, and they kept talking about Dante Marsh, but I'm like, I heard that name like so many times, and then I'm like, Dante Marsh from Fresno State? They was like, yeah. I was like, oh, bro. And I just remember when we played the BC Lions, I was fresh off the plane from Pittsburgh. So I retired. I was done with the NFL. And then about a week later, I ended up playing in the CFL. And, man, just watching this dude play, interception of the interceptions, physical, get in your face, talk some head. I think back then he had dreads. They might have fell out though. And they may, he got older. They might have fell out his head. But no, I want to, without any further ado, y'all, I want to bring in Dante Marsh. What's up, Dante?
What's up, D?
Man, it's glad to have you on the show, man. We appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
For
so
sure.
What's up, man? You do a lot. You do a lot of stuff, man. We're gonna go around robin just like we did Berna. We're gonna bring Berna back as well later on. But we want to know about Dante Marsh. What's going on for the fans who don't know who you are? What's going on with you nowadays?
I'm coaching at Laney. I'm the PE teacher at my alma mater at my old high school, McClymonds High School in West Oakland, California. MC Hammer, Bill Russell, Marcus Peters. We got a slew of alumni from that little small school, but PE teacher, going into year 3. I'm at Laney coaching corners, still doing my training on the side, and just I'm loving life.
Man, tell us a little bit about your slogan, man. I don't think people really understand about your slogan and what it means. Can you tell the folks that's listening? We got a lot of folks on the show right now listening all through different social media platforms, but can you let them know what your slogan is and what it represents?
The slogan came about, I want to say around 2010, 2009, 2010. This is when I was living in Atlanta. So for those that don't know, a lot of pro athletes migrate down to Atlanta. Your dollar goes so far. So I had bought a house back in 2006 out in Fairburn, south side Atlanta. So the great Milt Stegall, Darian Durant, man, it was we had full like 7-on-7 in the off season, right? So the slogan came about is just how can they beat you if they can't outwork you, right? And it just stuck. So I was like, man, that's catchy, man. I'm gonna start putting that on t-shirts, right? So the thought process behind that is not just for athletes, it's a way of life. So if you're the garbage man, you're a dentist, a doctor, you're in corporate America, if I do everything that I can within my God-given power, then I can accept the results when I look in the mirror at the end of the day, right? So to me, your will has to be more than your skill in all aspects of life, right? So if I give it everything that I have, then I'm going to be okay. My granddaddy used to tell me, hey, Dante, you shoot for the moon and fall on the star. What are you? You're still a damn star. So
Right.
I just think it's been beneficial for most of my life.
So, man, that's an amazing story, and I still ain't got my shirt yet, man. It's been I don't know how many years. I mean, you know, we both like flamboyant type athletes, you know, but I need that autograph somewhere on my back or something, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I come on, man, hook us up. There's 3 of us on the line.
Got you.
All right. Another good thing, man. I know that you know. I remember your road when you were going back to school and getting your degrees and how fast you completed it, man. Like that gave me a lot of drive. You know, when you did that, I actually went back to school because you drove me when you was going through that process. You know, being nowadays, right, being an African-American male, a coach, and going through these different obstacles, man, how did you get through that?
It's just mental fortitude and just I'm from Oakland, man. So I got a hustler mentality. So it's just like get it done. You know what I'm saying? Just get it done. No excuses. And you know, being part of Pat Hill's first recruiting class, I remember him always saying that back in '97. Like he told us this story because he took like 4 or 5 of us from Oakland. It was me, Anthony Limbrick, Devon Banks. Tabidi Lockhart transferred from Cal over to Fresno, so we were Oakland deep up there. So he would always tell me, man, I don't want you guys to go through school and then 5, 10, 15 years from now, you're saying, oh man, they screwed me over somewhere hanging around on the corner. So it was always an emphasis on getting your education. Like I'm not gonna lie. I didn't apply myself as much as I did in school, in high school, as I did in college. I messed around and made the dean's list a couple times at Fresno State with some 3.0s. I'm like, I could have been doing it.
Right.
But you know, our focus is football, and that's what incentivized us going to school. Let's just be real, right? So I promised my dad. My dad passed away in 2005. I was 26. That was my dog. Actually, the night before a preseason game against Calgary, my dad passed away, and I had just left him. I used to take care of him in the off season. He had some kidney issues. Over time, he succumbed to the kidney problem. So my mom ended up getting stage 4 colon cancer in 2016 out the blue, right? And it ate through her. So I did promise my parents that I'd go back and finish school. So I had 5 classes left over at Fresno for my BA in sociology for like 16 years. I moved to Atlanta. I married my first wife and my 2 kids. And I called up to Fresno a couple times, like, yo, I'm in Atlanta. Do you got any online classes so I can finish? He was like, no. So I was like, whatever. I'm making some good money. Whatever. It's on the back burner. So I ended up going through a divorce and moving back to California. And it was just like, man, I promised my dad I was going to finish those classes. So I jumped back into school, knocked that out. And then my sister was urging me, get your master's. I'm like, man, I'm done with school. All I need is a BA so I could coach D1. Forget school. So I'm so thankful for my older sister for pushing me, because I jumped in my master's program, knocked it out in 18 months, and that's what it was.
Man, kudos to you. Condolences to your mom and your dad. I know they are up in heaven just laughing and smiling from ear to ear, because you are influential to a lot of people that are following you. And I know Harv probably want to ask you a crazy question, because that's who he is. That's why we got Harv here. You know what I'm saying? Hood fit. That's what he does. So Harv, I know you got a couple questions, or you want to bring anything up, but man, what an inspirational story.
Man, I'm telling you, my condolences to you, because I lost my mom to cancer in 17. And yeah, that's a horrible disease. But man, to hear your story about these Grey Cups and all these All-Star games and being a role model, man, it's just, my hat's off to you. But how was it playing up in that cold in Canada?
It wasn't so. My story is crazy. So I played. Well, I was a 3-year starter at Fresno. Played as a true freshman, part of Pat Hill's first recruiting class. Thought I was gonna get drafted. They didn't start getting drafted to D, and they were like, we set it up for them.
They did. I give you credit.
I had an excellent, pretty good senior year. Ended up signing a priority free agent deal with the Tennessee Titans. Go up there doing my thing with one of my old teammates, Billy Volick. 5 or 7 of us undrafted free agent guys made the team. So I ended up getting hurt in preseason and got placed on injury reserve. Basically a career-ending shoulder injury. So long story short, I sat the year on injury reserve, and they didn't bring me back. So I was out of football 2 years after that. So I missed the regular season of 01, was out of football 02 and 03. And then I was just training and getting back in shape. So I got in the best shape of my life. And one of my high school homeboys was like, man, I got this guy, Bob Obilovich. He's a GM of Canada, and he's going to be at the East-West Shrine All-Star game when they moved it to Pac Bell Park. He's like, get dressed. We got to go run to San Francisco. Come on, man. I'm like, man. He's like, just come on. So we went and had dinner with him. I gave him my highlight film and my NFL stuff, preseason stuff. And we shot the shit, had dinner. And then about a month later, I had a contract FedEx to me. But I'm so stuck on the NFL, like the Buffalo Bills flew me out to work out. I had a workout with the Niners, and I was just kind of on standby. Mm-hmm. So the contract sat on my kitchen table for like 2 months, and my wife at the time was like, "Just you need to just go up there, just do it." So I had a workout, and basically they sent me the contract. I signed the contract, but how the CFL works is, if I would have got to the workout and ran a slow 40 or didn't show well, they'd just tear the contract up. So we go down to Long Beach. We stopped in San Jose because we drove from Northern California, Southern California. I messed around and got food poisoning. Went to Jack in the Box, ordered a salad and a piece of cheesecake and a chicken sandwich. So I ate the salad and the cheesecake, and then I wasn't hungry no more, so I just left the chicken sandwich in the bag. So by the time we got to Long Beach, I messed around and took the chicken off of the sandwich and threw it in the microwave and then put it back in the bun and ate it.
Oh man.
By one of them, it was over with. So the story's so crazy. I wake up, I'm just getting worse and worse and worse. So by 5 or 6 in the morning, it's bad. So I'm like, God, why you gonna do this to me, man? I got this workout. So long story short, we go to the city college. It was in Santa Monica. We left Long Beach and went to Santa Monica. I know the people at Foster Freeze up the street hated me because I was 7:30, kept going to their bathroom. So I get out there, do my thing. I think my fastest time was 4:38, 4:41. And after that, we went to the one-on-ones, first rep, PBU, second interception, and the rest is history. But it wasn't cold because BC, we had a dome, to answer your question.
BC had it made. I wish I went to BC when my agent put me in the coldest place, one of the coldest places ever. But now we're going to go into a quick commercial. We're going to come back, Dante, and finish up with you, and then bring you and Coach Berna. And we have some players that's going to be on as well. And we're going to have a little bit of fun. This is what we call the buzzer beater when we come back, man. And we're going to go around. So we'll be right back in a quick second.
Even better than Christmas.
All right. We are back. We are going to bring both coaches back on. We have Dante Marsh at Laney College, and we have Coach Justin Berna at Coalinga College, was known as West Hills College. Fellas, we're back on together.
Absolutely.
Yes. So we have some viewers on. Actually, they asked a lot of questions. I'm really not going to read them off just yet. We're going to get to them. But before we get to them, man, how is the coaching life now that you were as a player at first, right? You understood the game. You knew how the game works and operates. But now, like, knowing what goes into the hard work on the community college JUCO level, like, how is all of it now as a coach from a coach's perspective? Like, what would you tell recruits or players now?
I ask so this is going into 11 years coaching for me, 10 JUCO, 1 high school. All the BS that I thought was BS from Coach Kevin Coyle, Pat Hill, Jeff Tedford, Jeffro Franklin, JD Williams, as a 18 to 21-year-old man, this is BS, whatever. Now it's crazy because when I go back up to Fresno, I'll be like, I'm regurgitating all these things that you instilled in me, right? And it's real. So I love what Coach Berna was talking about in terms of culture. The JUCO level, I never went JUCO. I went to Fresno State straight out of high school. So when I got into coaching it, I was like, damn, this is a grind, right? Especially in California, because I think we only got 9 schools in the state that actually have dorms and stuff like that. So the recruiting part of it is a little more difficult because you don't have those things in place for the handful 5 to 10 out of state guys that could really help change your program. The culture football is dying. It's because this Gen Z generation, and I'm not trying to knock the youngsters, but they just lack the passion, the grit, the drive, the self-motivation. And we're living in Twitter world now. So everybody thinks they're so much better than they really are. So me being a young 45 that still go out there in cleats, running around, I can they could pull up highlights and be like, oh yeah, Coach Mark, you had them coaches. You're like, man, he just talking. He wasn't.
Right.
These kids, they'll go, man, I watched some, man, you was really like that, right? So the trouble that I'm having today with today's athlete is, do you love ball? Because anytime you love something, and you have to be somewhat kind of crazy to play this game at that level in a good way. It has to be an obsessiveness about it, because a lot of these kids, they see the finished product. They don't see the daily grind. You getting up at 5, remember 6 a.m. workouts? We up, it's still dark outside. We out there in them red and blue sweatsuits, rolling around in the dirt, doing the mat drill, just throwing up and then having to go get showered and then go to training table, then go to class, then come back, lift weights, study tape, doing study hall, and then practice and film. It's really a job, and it requires a real deep love for it, if that makes sense. So I think for me as a junior college coach, the challenges are the culture part is what you alluded to earlier. It's hard because you don't have the time, you don't have the resources. A lot at the JUCO level, you got kids that may miss practice because they may have a job. You have kids that don't eat. You have kids that have, shaky living situations. So I think this can really help you as a coach moving forward, because you've dealt with a little more adverse situations than, let's say, if you just jumped into coaching and you was already at a D1.
Oh, that's awesome. What about you, Berna?
I actually agree. It's funny. I said it today. I said it directly to a kid. Do you like football or do you love it? It's exactly what I said to him in quotes, because it's Thursday, we're shells, and, he wanted to have a day off, right? And so it's, as Coach Marsh said, we like Dante said it perfect. We're unique, right? We're one of those schools that have dorms. But with that come a different responsibility is I got to be around them all the time, right? I got to be around them all the time. Some out-of-state kids. And I think the words that I say a lot is there's not as much self-motivation, right? Like, Dwayne, when I was a 17-year-old freshman, you were that redshirt freshman. I saw you. I got a block for this guy. I'm going to let him down, right? That was my mentality, right? I'm going to let this guy down. If I don't, on split zone, cut the backside end, I'm screwing up the whole team, right? And our guys don't have that mentality now, right? Like, it's not the end of the world if I make a mistake, and it's they just don't take it. I don't want to say it's serious because they do, but it's not live or die, right? It's not, as I kind of said, they like it, they don't love it. And it's, you've got to teach them to love it and love the little things about it. And that's one thing that we can kind of get a little bit of here because of the dorms, right? Because we do have 6 a.m. weights. We do have some of those things, luckily for us, that we can kind of see. And you can really tell if a guy's a D1 guy. Like, he's going to make it. And you can also tell, ooh, this guy's not, right? He walks in a study hall. When I say 10 a.m., he walks in at 9:59. He's not sat down, hat off, logged in on his computer, starting his work. You can see that little differences in guys while they're here. But I think that's a big thing with this, as we talked about, this whole generation is, you have to motivate them to do something that they say they love, which is very unique to me, right? As a guy that I always felt I was undersized. All right, what am I good at? I'm physical. I got to figure out how to get better at this. Like, I was trying to figure it out, right? And it's like now it's, I'm much better than I am. I have no weaknesses. Oh, come on, man. Everyone's got a weakness, so can we work on those things? But I think that's the hard part, and that's the challenge. And I've coached at the FCS level, the NAI level, the D3 level, and the junior college level. And it's the most unique, right? It's the most unique level because you have an array of kids, right? We're not, Coach might have a lot more guys at Laney, but we're going to have 3 to 4 D1 guys a year, right? And that's FCS and FBS together at West Hills. And then we're going to have a bunch of D2 guys, NAI kids, other kids like that. And there's an array, and you've got to coach all of them, right? And you've got to coach all these different skill sets, different guys that are going to be, 5'10" next to a 6'5" kid on the O-line. You have all these different things. So it's really good. I really like the level, but at the same time, you got to wear a lot of hats. You got to do a lot of stuff. Resources aren't there. You're jumping through everything. Last night I worked our volleyball game, right? It's just, instead of finishing the film, I got to go sit in the gym at 6 o'clock and watch the volleyball game. Those kind of things, or call an extra recruit or whatever it is. But it's just the the life we live. It's a great level, though. It is a great level. I tell guys all the time, I think it saves a lot of kids that don't know where they're going to go. And maybe this is their only opportunity to kind of figure out, do I really want to do this college thing or not? School included, right? Do I want to even do this? And I think it's really positive. But I think that's the challenge. I think it's not about drawing up curl flat. It's not drawing up, palms covered. It's not drawing up an over and under front or inside zone or counter. It's all of us can do all those things. It's about, now motivating a kid, making him see the reason why he needs to be on time or why it's important, why study hall is important when I got a 78 in the class. It's like, dude, it's a C. Okay, that's why you're here, right? But that's okay to them, right, to some of these kids. So I think that's the challenge, is getting them to understand why they need to love it and love things that, you've got. I tell them all the time, I don't get paid to go to an offensive meeting and watch film or do an install. I don't get paid to go to practice. I get paid to go to the admin meeting or work the volleyball game or go do the stuff at the school that they ask me to do that I really don't want to do. That doesn't include football. So that's what I get paid for. And that's what you got to do too. If there's some class you don't like, you got to go to it if you want to move on, right? There's something you're not a weightlifting guy. You don't like to be in a weight room, right? You guys know me. And Dante is the same way, weight room guy. You better start learning to be one, right? Because wherever you go, you're going to be in there just as much as you're on the field or more in the off season. So I think that's the challenge, right? Is for all of us, is how do you get those guys to buy into that? And it's not just the finished product. It's not just walking into West Hills locker room and going to the back wall of guys that are giving us money and see Willie Wood, who's in the NFL Hall of Fame, Dan Goich, who's played in the NFL, Dwayne Wright, all these different guys on the wall, right, that are in the NFL or played in the NFL that, yep, it should be motivation, not just, it's easy. I'll go to Cal, I'll go to USC, I'll go to Fresno State, I'll go to Purdue or wherever all the other guys, listed on the wall are. And it's like that's not the case. It's not the finished product, right? It's not going to be that simple. It's a lot of process in between A to Z. And there's a lot of more other letters in between those two. So yeah, I think that's the challenge, right? I think the self-motivation is a good way to put it. But do you like it or love it? I say it almost every day, probably to somebody, right? Whenever they do something wrong, right? Do you like football or you love it? Which one are you going to pick? And it's a daily choice.
You got to fall in love with the process.
Yep.
And
every day.
The reason why I was able to play professional football is I fell in love with the process.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, I had a beeper. It wasn't no
Oh man, you taking them back, man.
Yeah, so for me, like I collected cards. So there was no internet, there was no NFL network. I used to tape on VHS tapes preseason games because back then that was it. After football season was over back then in the 90s, there was like no football. We just starving for football. So I used to collect cards. Oh, Deion Sanders, Fort Myers, Florida State, 6'1", 200 pounds. I as an 11, 12, 13-year-old kid, nobody told me to go do that. I fell in love with it since I was 5. I wanted to be Walter Payton. So at the end of the day, you got to fall in love with the process. And for me, I tell the young people today, like, you guys should be phenomenal. Why? Because you have way more resources than we can imagine. Yes. You got a guy like me who trains athletes on the side, like as a business, where I can walk you. I'm an educator. I took SAT. I went to college. Teacher now. I can show you. I perfected my craft, and now I can show you not only the athletic part of it, but the psychological part of it and the academic side of it, right? So I don't understand how you could play this game the way the physicality of it is and the grind and everything that it takes to do it mentally and physically and not want to go to the weight room. I figured out very young, 9th to 10th, 11th grade, the girls into high school, I'm walking around campus different, and I'm scoring more touchdowns. I was a running back in high school. So the more working out I did, I'm having more stats. The game seems easier now because I'm confident at 180 pounds in high school, right? So it boggles my mind how they don't connect the dots, and they think that they could flip the switch on. I said, dude, I've been around some phenomenal athletes: Eddie George, Javon Curse, Chris Sanders. When y'all had when Toronto had Ricky Williams, like LaDainian Tomlinson competed against, worked out with Chad Johnson. Dude, you can't. And these are phenomenal athletes. They didn't switch on the turn on the switch. It's the process, and I don't understand how with all these resources in today's world, because we had drunk daddies and drug dealers coaching us when I was drunk. So I'm like, if we could make it with those little resources, you have everything at you. For example, I could get on my phone if I was a young athlete and see what's going on in Florida, Atlanta, Louisiana. I could just turn on YouTube. They have so many trainers. All this stuff is available, and there should be so many athletes that are successful. And it's not just in their sport, just in life, period. But that's
you know what I take away from both you guys said something about culture, and you said something about like just being different, right? That's what JUCO is. It's nothing but a melting pot of just people from all over, different walks. Especially, I can remember playing JUCO ball. We had a big Florida, a big Florida pile of players that came in, and Louisiana. And I mean, us growing up in California, seeing the world a lot different than they did. Like we were really spoiled compared to some of our teammates who came from being murderers. We had a player, I believe, Justin, that was just got out of prison.
Yeah,
and played
we had two
that played on it. Just got out of prison like 2 weeks, came to play at West Hills, and was ballers, and they were there. And it's just, you have to change your mindset on where you at the time. Like JUCO is that. Like we have people who just go to JUCO to get out of their situations. And for you coaches to do that, it's an honor because, I've coached at the JUCO level too. We all coached there, right? For years, 6-7 years. And I was working on this, like the mindset, because like, if you can't make it out of a JUCO, there is no way that you will be able to even step on any 4-year university or 2-year university after you leave JUCO, because what they're going to do, if you don't abide by the rules, you don't work out, you don't show up to study hall, you ain't even getting a flight. We all know that. You're going to get a what? Bus ride, a bus ticket.
Well, now it's even different, right? Because I know when I got to Fresno State, back then, correct me if I'm wrong, you basically had a 4 to 5 year scholarship. Unless you flunked out of school, did something so egregious that put the university in a bad light, or you failed the drug test, all you had to do was sign that paper every summer and you were good to go. Now it's
renewable.
Hard. Right. Now cut them for performance based. Say, son, you didn't get it done this year. You might want to go jump the portal. I was shocked because now you're taking away. It's so much more of a business today than it was in 1997, right? So they have these opportunities too to get money. Remember back in the day, let's say you had a funeral, somebody passed away at home. We, even though we on scholarship and getting a program, we were still broke. So hey man, look, here go a plane ticket and get a blazer. If somebody found out, you're done.
You're done. Yeah.
They have the opportunity to, let's say you did slip through the crack. Deron Bland is a great example. The kid from Modesto went to Sac State. They didn't have a season during COVID. Transfers to Fresno, 5th round draft pick, and setting records with the Dallas Cowboys. Like, you have an opportunity to do that.
Opportunities.
You know what I mean?
Right. And I know Berna's gonna speak, but I was just gonna add real quick. It don't matter where you at, D2, D3, NIA. Like, NFL will find you. I mean, they have other USFL, UFL. Like, come on, man. We didn't have these opportunities when we were playing. Because if let's say I got injured, right, and I'm done with football, at least I can come back and say, you know what, I'm just going to join the United Football League, play a year, and now I can pay for my college or whatever, whatever that may be.
Nope. Yeah, we've had it at every level, even at the NAI level in the Midwest. We used to have a pro day at one school because it was in a great location, and then all of a sudden all of our guys started getting more pub, and every year we had one run in 3 years. We had 5 kids invited to camp, and 2 got signed and made it and played. One actually won a Super Bowl with making tackles on kickoff in the Super Bowl. And it's like, and that's a little NAI school, right? Kids on our team, NAI. I'm like, dude, you ain't gonna play there, No. And so it's just, they're gonna find you now with the technology and the scouts they have and everything else. It's crazy. They're gonna find you, just like they're gonna find, guys at FCS schools, D2 schools. If you're good enough, and just a lot of times it's a late bloomer, right? That's what a lot of times it is. A kid that shows up and he's 5'11", 170, then he leaves and he's 6 foot 205. You're like, where did this kid come from? Because he just was a late bloomer. It happens all the time. So at every level. But I think now it's the same way at our level. You're going to have kids that are the same way. They're going to find them. But it's if you perform, you perform. That's the end of the day, right? If you dominate, you dominate. I don't care where you're at. If you're Laney, if you're a freaking San Mateo, if you're at the right, if you do what you're supposed to do, they're going to find you, right? And so I know the portal has changed a little bit with the Power 5 schools, but you're still going to get an opportunity at Division I level, right? We had a receiver 2 years ago, had 1,100 yards and whatever many catches, guess what? He had 6 Division I offers. Doesn't matter where. If you have numbers like that, 1,100 yards and 12 touchdowns, you're going to get sought after. So.
Well, fellas, we are coming to the end. I know D. Harv and Bryan Welch, we really appreciate y'all for being on this show. And I know if we have more questions, we'll ask, because we have some young, athletes that are tuning in and watching and hearing the knowledge that is coming from y'all. Even I'm learning, like, wow, like I'm taking away, from it. But if there's anything that these young fellas can take away from just, being at a JUCO, or even, they're in between, like D. Harv said, his nephew, right, had all those yards, and then he even, wasn't able to go to the NFL, right? So, like, what can these young men take away from just going to a JUCO if they haven't got offered?
I would say, for me, I'm a little different because I'm very relatable. Like I said, I'm a young 45, and I've been where those guys are trying to go. But I don't carry myself that way, D. You know that. Like, my career is what it is. It was great. I'm Dante Marsh, the coach, the mentor, the teacher, the father, all of that stuff. So I get my goosebumps from giving that knowledge, passing it on, and seeing these guys apply that knowledge and benefit from it, right? I think a lot of times, especially in the JUCO system, some of these coaches, as long as they got the numbers for the enrollment in the classes, or they at least got 60, 65 players, they get desensitized after a while, and it's just about the job. No, I build relationships. I got players that I coached at MJC back in 2017 still call me to this day. What's up, Unc? I need to talk to you. Let's go. So I think the unique situation about the JUCO, I know for me, is the relationship building, right? And giving those guys those gems and those words of encouragement to say, hey, yo, look, I'm an inner city kid and I made it so you can make it. But I didn't have a me. I had a supportive father, but he didn't play D1 ball. He didn't go to the league. He didn't play. He was just a supportive role model and a father to his son. So I think former players always have the cheat code in a sense, because at the end of the day, it's relationships, and it's about Mo's and less about X's and O's at this level. You talk about high school, JC, and most Division I schools, it's about Joes and Mo's. Now, the X's and O's are very critical when you get to the league because everybody's good.
I was going to say I'd add 2 things to mine, Dwayne. I would say 2 things. And I said, number one, actually, it's relationships. But again, I think of West Hills like when we lived in the dorms, right? I think it's within ourselves as players, or when you're a player at this level, because you're going to have, you talked about a melting pot, right? We got our left tackle from Poland, right? We got guys from a receiver from Sweden. We got all kinds of kids from all over the place, from Florida, Georgia, Baltimore, wherever you can think of, where it's going to go by like that. And, they take stuff for granted now, and they don't build the relationships or think those relationships are going to change. And everyone that I talk to after they leave, all these kids, West Hills was such a great experience. It was so because you're around each other so much, there's not a lot of distractions. Well, when you transfer on the 4-year level, you're so busy. Dante brought it up. 6 a.m. this, you got to go to train table. You got to do that. You got to do this. I remember when I transferred out, I knew my roommate, but I barely knew the defensive guys. Right? I barely knew the defensive guys.
Mm-hmm.
West Hills, I knew everybody. Right?
Mm-hmm.
We're talking to the table, messing around, whatever. But I barely knew who was the 3rd string Will. I don't even know that kid's name.
I don't even know his name.
I don't even know that dude's name. And so I think that's the stuff that gets lost, right? Where I can see a guy like you, Dwayne, and we're not gonna shake hands. You're gonna give me a hug, right? And it's like, and that's the stuff that I think our kids lose, and they start figuring it out. Like I had a kid come to me. It was Xavier candidate, Brian. Last week during bye week was like, Coach, it's almost over. I said, you're getting it. Yeah. I said, you're getting it. I said, luckily you're getting it now. He's like, because he's graduating in December, right? It's starting to freak him out. Yeah. And I think guys don't look at that relationships and the time they have. They're so worried about, again, the end, right? I got to get my stats. I got to get my scholarship. I got to do this. I got to be successful. Oh, I got to do this. I got to put my film together. That they lose, right? They look up. It's like being a father. You look up and your kid's 4 years old. And you're like, damn, where did the time go? Right? It's the same thing for these guys. They look up and they're walking out with their piece of paper. And I go, what did you get out of that other than some film and a piece of paper? And so I think that's the big part of it is that relationships between the players. I loved my time at junior college where I wish I could have played there 4 years, and it was, I think a lot of guys go through the same thing. And when they leave, they go, damn, I messed up. I didn't enjoy it as much as I should have, or take advantage of the time that I had because everyone disperses out, right? Everyone's going all over the place. I ended up playing in freaking Missouri, so everyone's going all over the place. Right. And then you can't, replicate that same thing. Like I said, I got, they sold me on the small, it's a Christian university where I went in Missouri. Should I show up at an FCS school? We got 16,000 students. There's sororities on campus. I'm living on the off-campus housing. I'm like, as a junior, and I'm like, man, I don't even know how. There's 120 guys on the team, And so it's like I said, I think that relationship part of it, and then really buying into being a good teammate, and it kind of goes together because a lot that's lost at our level sometimes. Because again, it's about getting my stats, playing. I'm gonna listen to coach, do what I need to do. Right, I'm gonna check my checklist. But do you really know Slice? Well, what's that? That's a different nickname. Do you know Dante? Do you know Bryan? Like that's the first thing I made a joke. One of the kids was like, "Hey, coach, who's that guy?" I said, "You should know who Bryan is. He does all of our games on TV.
You better know.
You should be his best friend, right? So your mama hears your name, and they start laughing. Oh, coach, I said, that's what I did. And I was like, that's the first thing I did. So I think it's just those things, right? The relationship building, because it goes by so fast, and they don't think that, but it hits everybody very quickly. And a lot of our sophomores are feeling it, right? They're feeling it right now, going, oh man, it's almost over. So yep. And then what are you going to do? Now it's the next step, and you got to start from scratch all over again. So I think, relationship building, coaches, players, but I think as a player, man, if I could tell a young guy, enjoy the time you have, because it's going to be over so quickly. So get to know those other teammates and also experience things. Because I'm from a different walk of life from a lot of my teammates. I had both parents. I'm a white dude. I'm very open about it. I tell everybody, that I'm totally different. But it's like, hey, I got to experience seeing other people that didn't have. I was spoiled in a different way. We didn't have a ton of money. But mom and dad were driving down to Monterey to watch a game, driving to American River to watch a game, right? And it's just a lot of people don't have that. And I just thought that was normal, right? And so I think experiencing different things and seeing it from other people's point of view, going, okay, there's the hurdles that I never had to deal with, right? And stuff like that I think is powerful for people if they actually embrace it and open their eyes sometimes and see it, especially from our level at the junior college level of all the different people from different walks of life. But I think if you can enjoy that, get to know people and be open with it, and not just text each other on your damn phone, right? I think that's a different thing that we can do, and I think that's why our level can be such a great level of football.
Awesome! What an awesome show!
Yeah,
You know, I've just learned so much. I know we have the viewers and like D Wright is always so positive. You darn right. That's what the show is about. It's about being positive. It's about learning. It's about people actually telling the truth and not BSing. That's what's wrong with this world today too. I feel that, you know, if you just be honest and tell people like this is what it is on the JUCO level. This is what it is on D1. This is what it is as a coach. I mean, you'll get much respect, you know, and players will start to learn how to be responsible and communicative, like you two were saying. So, Brian, you got anything before D Harv take us out?
I mean, these two guys are the legends of JUCO, and this is what we need for California for junior college. Because a lot of people, like we heard this conversation tonight about the transfer portal, but junior college is a lot more wholesome. I mean, me doing the play-by-play for Coalinga College, my third season as the voice of the Falcons, I'm able to build relationships with the players and the coaching staff of Justin Berna. But the thing is, it's more wholesome, and you don't have to go to the D1. You make the relationships and you make the lasting memories at JUCO. And I'm going to always remember my time doing play-by-play for junior colleges when I'm like in 40 years, wherever I'm going to be at. I mean, I'm going to hopefully cross our fingers, hopefully. But I mean, for me, it's like I'm able to remember these moments, like riding the bus to Yuba or going to Monterey or going to Merced, or getting the pizza after the games. I mean,
that's right, baby.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Like it's those little things that are big moments, and that's why that's why junior college is the most unique.
I want to add one thing before D Harv. We're going to have a round 2 with all the players on our next show. We're just going to go ahead and say it because I feel like we have the coach's point of view, and we're going to bring players on, you know, for our whole show because we want to know, like, how do y'all feel? Like, you know, being in JUCO is different. It's different, right? It is. So thank you, fellas, again for joining us. D Harv, take us out, brother.
Yeah, it's your boy D Harv. Catch us on Straight Up On Game every Thursday, 8:30 p.m. Pacific Time, 11:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Y'all next Thursday. Thank you, guys.